Hello and welcome. This is Mouse Gunner, and we're back with some more Hearts of Iron 4, continuing on with Operation Enduring Francedom, where I attempt to survive as France during World War II. And so far, things are going pretty well. So, I'm trying to get aircraft production in order. And once we get the efficiency up, I think that will start happening, at least hopefully. Also trying to get radar built eventually, so that we can defend things. But we have to finish off the military factories that we're currently trying to build. And I have to keep an eye on our political power, because I am going to want to increase mobilization so that we'll get a little bit more things going, because we'll be using less consumer goods. It'll also help with the construction of factories as well, which we sorely need, as that is something that we're behind on. And taking a look at production, how are things going here? So we are bringing down the total need, although I am not requiring as much with creation of divisions. Right now, I'm just focusing on motorized divisions and tanks, as those are a little bit, I think, lower on the manpower demands, as we are low on the manpower. Let's take a look at how things are going on in the east. So far, the war over in China has been pretty static, although I did see a little bit of movement as I came over here. It looks like Japan is starting to push China back up here in the north, and it looks like they've gained a little bit of ground over here. But it's been going pretty slow for the most part. I'm going to assume that the Chinese have a fair amount of manpower. Okay, so it looks like we just finished another military factory. So now we need to set up production again. And I have a lot of fighters that I need to produce, and I'm thinking about... Actually, the total need has gone down significantly. That's interesting to see. After I expanded the fighter wings all that much? Shouldn't these get I'm kind of confused, because I would assume that these would be replacing the old fighters. Unless that's something I actually have to physically tell it to do. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay. Not really sure where our fighter production is actually going to. Because we're only producing the newest fighters. We're not producing the old interwar ones. But it looks like that's all that's being equipped. Well, efficiency's still not there. So we'll lose out a little bit if I select this. Tanks is something I'm also kind of not doing well with, though. So I'm going to produce some light tanks here. And we'll let the fighter factory be... not extend the fighter production yet. But we definitely need more fighters. At least I would think that we would need more fighters. Alright, so I've got improved infantry equipment. That might change some things here. Alright, so let's take a look. We're not on 39 yet, so we can't get any of these. Well, we could, but it would be a little bit harder to do, at least as far as time. Go ahead for support level, weapon level 2. And how is the training going so far? So, you guys are working up, and I believe this army is also training, and it only has this one unit that needs trained up, but we'll go ahead with that because I want the army experience so that I can modify some of the units. For instance, the Alpine units, I'd love to give... Ooh, got a new factory, it looks like. So tank production is still kind of not where I'd like it. So I'll go with increased heavy tank production. I have to keep an eye on the towed artillery. Is that number going up or down? It probably is going to start going up, actually. Eventually, if we start adding artillery onto units that don't have them yet. So we're probably going to have to expand that production soon. But at the moment, starting to work on the radar. So I'm actually going to want probably some more military factories here. What is the number we're at right now? So we're at 14. And with our current construction, we're going to have another 3. So I'll build 3 more. And I've been focusing things down a little bit away from the front, so a little less vulnerable. At least that's the idea. Put one there. And go ahead and put one there. I think I was going to do 3 more, so we'll put one here. All right. That'll get us up to an even 20. And I do want to bring mobilization up. All right. There's one of my motorized divisions being produced. How is our manpower? So we have about 300k free manpower. Once we get rid of Victors of the Great War, though, that will go away. So that's good to see. I mean, yeah, we're losing some of our recruitable population here. It's also making our land doctrine research time pretty bad, which is why we're going to want to get this army reform as soon as possible, because not only is it going to get rid of that Victors of the Great War, but it's also going to give us a modifier for land doctrine, which we'll start working on as soon as this is done. Now, it will be pretty close when that gets done. Let's see where things are once this gets completed. Which is only 1 day away. Alright. We just gained some army experience. With that, as well as a national spirit, which gives us reduced production time. Or cost, I should say. Alright, so this is still working its... but it's probably only a few days away, so we could either wait for this to finish, or we could just go on to the next thing and take what days we get out of it. I think that's probably the better call, although getting rid of disjointed government would be very useful. I think I'm going to go with this. So what does this give us? More army experience, and it gives us reduced research time for artillery. All right, well, that's nice to see. Probably need that soon. You know, this tank division over here, what is this guy doing? You just sitting there? How about you join this front over here, so we've got an area where we don't have any troops. And why don't you come up here and sit on that. And then we're kind of leaving this city open, though. I'll grab this normal infantry group, and I'll send it over there. All right. See how production is going. Do we have more? Oh, actually, I do want to modify things here. So I want to go to the Alpine unit. And I want to edit it. Because it does not have any support groups at all. And I think it could do with some support artillery. Alternatively, I could give it engineer, which would give it more defense. Significantly more defense. But this gives me more soft and hard attack. Although you get a little bit with the engineer company. It's more dramatic with the support artillery. It does reduce organization, though. I'm going to go with this, though. For now. And that's going to cost me 10, so we'll save that on up. That'll help the Alpine divisions hold off the Italians, I think. Because they have a lot of guys down here. This might not actually hold them off, looking at what the Italians have here. Let's take a look at what the Italians are working on. So they're just working on special forces right now. What are the Germans working on? All right, they're working on demand Sudetenland. So here's where things start to heat up. So when their thing finishes, we'll see how this works. Because right now, Czechoslovakia is our ally. And I'm not sure if we're ready to go if things come to that. I almost think I should stop working on the motorized unit that I'm working on and start working on Alpine units again. We'll let this guy finish, but starting to think more Alpine units, please. We'll have you end up in Savoy. Because that is a lot of men against me. Now, they're going to have to fight through mountains against Alpine troops. But that is definitely scary nonetheless. Let's take a look at production now that we've made some of those changes. So we need a lot more towed artillery than we're currently producing. All right, we no longer get the effects from strengthened government support. So that is finally... We did also just produce a factory, it looks like. So that is finally allowing us to get rid of disjointed government, which we'll be doing as soon as possible. All right, so I just mentioned that towed artillery is kind of falling behind, so let's ramp up that production. And our need for these fighters are starting to fall. But I'm still curious because it is listing... Oh, I did want to change this guy. We'll give you about 150 is what I'd like. All right, and let's see if that modified things in production. I might have to look at it after we've gone a tick. Okay, so it did modify it. I'm just curious, if we only need that many, why is it still showing these interwar fighters? Oh. Okay, so they do have some of these guys. So this is what the group looks like right now. It just predominantly the interwar fighter. Okay. We just don't have enough production of the newer fighters yet to replace things necessarily. All right. Well, we're only producing the newer fighters, so... So I kind of wonder if this is telling me what we're short of, like with what I've set up recruitment-wise. Or we've got free dockyards. Again, I'm not really concerned as much with the naval stuff, so I'll just put the two things there. And eventually I'm going to have to reorganize the Navy and give it missions and things. Like, for instance, we already grabbed, I think, most of the cruisers we had around the world. I think we're pretty good with our current setup, I think. I just have to give them missions when it comes down to it. Alright. I also probably want to set up a front over here with some of the extra colonial troops that I have. So let me do that. I'm going to slow down time a little bit here while I do that. And go ahead and start sending troops down here. So anywhere that we have extra troops. I know they're mostly going to be colonial troops. Okay, so these guys are split up. Got a cavalry unit over here. There's not going to be a lot of troops in this defense, but it's going to be something. Okay, so I just deselect that guy. And then send these two over to the front as well. Alright, and when they get there, we'll organize them into an army. Alright. Let's speed things back up. And let's take a look at our training. So these guys still need to train a little bit. We only have one unit that needs training over there. And these guys are almost done training. The experience is good. Nonetheless. How's the production of that one tank unit going? Very slow. You'll get there eventually, though. I'm thinking about actually... Ooh. Here we go with more communist stuff. Communist influence foreign policy. Alright, so this is the same message we got before. So we just get more relations with the Soviet Union again. Okay, I'll take it. So the Soviet Union really likes us now. Let's take a look at that. So right now, Soviet opinion of France is at 50, whereas our opinion of them is not great. Alright. And how is German progress going on the Man Sudetenland? It's coming along. Alright, that's kind of scary. Not sure if we're ready for the consequences of whatever may happen here. So we've got better radar. Okay. Once this is finished, we can go with the encryption, decryption. But for now, we have other things to worry about. So we're not at 39 yet, although we will be soon. Land doctrine is insanely expensive for us. Can't afford any of that. Armor is pretty much at its where it needs to be. I could do some of the support companies that we haven't really done yet. Honestly, I could also do some of the variants of these guys. So if I click on this guy, then I grab one of the variants. This is a tank destroyer variant. It loses defense and breakthrough and soft attack and a number of other things, but it gains in hard attack and I would assume piercing as well. Yeah, piercing is much higher. So you're trading off a lot of the strengths that you normally would have with a tank. What about an SPG here? What do we lose? So we lose breakthrough again, but we gain dramatically in soft attack. We lose a lot of our piercing, though, and our armor. Okay. And hard attack, yeah. All right, so this is more against infantry. And then you have the AA, which is probably obvious what that does. Okay. I don't know if I really want any of the variants, to be honest with you. And we're good where we need to be with artillery. Oh, I probably need to start building anti-aircraft defenses. Well, because I don't have anything that I obviously want to grab, I think I'm going to grab this excavation thing. It doesn't seem to give me a penalty that I Haven't researched the previous tech. All right, so as I said, we want to start working on anti-air defenses, especially if the war's about to start. So, what is that under? There it is, anti-air. Now, we do have a bunch over here in Alsace, but we're going to want it in other places too, especially places that are probably going to get bombed here. We also have some over here in this state. But we're going to want to have it along the border for sure. So, build one there, there. You can queue up more than one. Let's reduce that down for now. And do another one here. And then we'll do Savoy. Alright. That's going to be where we focus our anti-air for now. And I'm going to put the oil refinery down at the bottom here. Everything else I'm going to keep where it is for now. So we're almost done with the radar screen. At least where I put them. And then we're going to start working on anti-air here in a second. You know what? I think I do want to have a minimum of 2 in all of these places for now. So I'm just going to do that. Okay. And we'll work on that. And that's probably going to be our main focus now is anti-air defenses and military factories. All right, so we got the research speed up. So this only takes 82 days. Wow. So encryption and decryption. I'm going to go with encryption first because that is the quicker tech. But then we'll switch to probably decryption after that. Okay, so we've got excavation. And I mentioned what I was going to do, so might as well do that. So we'll grab decryption as well. All right. And we're probably very close. Ooh, we've got more free dockyards. And we'll put 2 there and 2 there. And then I probably should set up what I'd like it to produce if those things get finished. And I think what I'd like it to produce is destroyers, maybe? We have 2 different types of destroyers, actually. And then we've got cruisers. You know what I'll do? I'll do light cruisers here. Where's... You probably want to do stuff with submarines. I just don't know what the difference between the 2 destroyers are here. So let me take a look here in my tech. So where are destroyers here? Why do I have 2 different classes of destroyers? I'm just wondering if there's an easy way for me to tell what they do, because I think if I click on it, it would just open it up. So sub detection is better here, which is what I'm looking for. So let's grab these guys. Alternatively, I could just actually never mind on that and just increase the quantity here. So build 8. There you go. Okay. And how is the training going? So almost done there. We've got this unit down there. All right, so they're getting close. And I should have... Oh, my units are still moving. Kind of would have preferred them not going through the desert there. They're going to get a lot of attrition. So I'm going to have possibly 5 divisions matching up against, we know about 2. Actually, we're guessing that there are 2, but what their strength is questionable. All right, interesting. This is mostly just going to be a holding action. And now that we have these guys where they need to be, may also want to set up their line. I guess it doesn't really matter right this second. All right. We got stuff happening. So German demands for the state and region of Czechoslovakia, where a significant number of ethnic Germans live, have come to a head. Hitler has positioned forces along the Czechoslovakian border in preparation for an attack. Talks are being held in Munich between Britain, France, Italy, and Germany in the hopes of negotiating a peaceful end to the Sudeten crisis. The British have made it clear that they have no intention of going to war over a quarrel in a faraway country. Should we follow their lead, or will we honor our obligations to Czechoslovakia by offering them support? So if we leave them to their fate, we'll lose relations with the Czechs, and they will be removed from our faction. If we support them, we lose 100 political power. We lose relations with Germany. Czechoslovakia gets the event. Munich Conference gains offered support, opinion of France. And German Reich gets event, the Munich Conference gains conquer focus, war goal against Czechoslovakia. All right, so here's the problem. I know I cannot defend the Czechs. Now, the Czechs probably have a pretty decent army, and they do have some fortifications here along the border, but they're more or less surrounded by the Germans. The Germans have a lot of firepower against them. And we will be in a war by ourselves. It will be us versus Germany. We're not really ready for the war, in my opinion. So, this is a tough call. Because we're not necessarily going to war, but there's the possibility we'll go to war here. Now, there's not really necessarily a negative consequence if we say no. And there's not really necessarily as big of a negative consequence, like, for instance, with the remilitarizing of the Rhine. If we had declared war at that point, we would have had a civil war on our hands. But I still have disjointed government. I still have a lot of negative effects against me. I think I have to say leave the Czechs to their fate. That sucks, but I don't think there's anything I can do about it realistically. Again, it would be nice to see the Czechs try and fight it out, but I have a feeling that they will not last. Can we actually get a little bit of information, though, before we start this? So details. So they have 43 divisions, and now that's estimated, but because we're allies, I think it's pretty accurate. Whereas the Germans over here have, at the low end, double that. And then we, over here, have 83 divisions. So both of us combined would have 126 divisions versus Germany, which on the high end would exceed that. And on top of that, they outnumber me in airplanes probably pretty significantly. Yeah. I have to leave them to their fate. I just am not ready for a war right now. That sucks, but again, it's nice that we got a choice, though. And this is what I was curious over. All right. Leave the Czechs to their fate. This is about France surviving, not about Czechoslovakia surviving, unfortunately. Sorry, Czechs, but that's the way it is. So, German demands for the Sudeten territory in Czechoslovakia, which is home to a considerable German minority, have intensified. As at a summit held in Munich, Germany, Britain, France, and Italy sought to find a diplomatic solution to the so-called Sudeten crisis. Czechoslovakia was not invited to attend. An agreement was reached in which Germany annexes the Sudetenland, but will not pursue any further territorial games in Europe. Mr. Chamberlain spoke to crowds in London. For the second time, a prime minister has returned from Germany, bringing peace with honor. I believe it is peace for our time. And that, of course, turned out to be a very incorrect statement. And we also gained the artillery focus. So now we can do defensive stratagems, get rid of this disjointed government, and then we have 2 more focuses to go, and we'll get army reform, which gets rid of the Victor of the Great War penalty. So I have been looking forward to that for quite some time. We also didn't lose the political power, which I think we desperately need. In any case, I think this is a good point to put a cut in the video. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.